Welcome to Perfectly Imperfect with Beautiful Disaster. These are the stories of our tribe. They are important, powerful, and will undoubtedly change you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Perfectly Imperfect with Beautiful Disaster. And today we are super excited because we have a special guest in the Beautiful Disaster studio. This is Tiffani Cook, and she won the Golden Ticket from the You Don't Know My Story promotion. So in case you guys don't know what the heck I'm talking about, we did a promotion when we launched the You Don't Know My Story collection, and we put a golden ticket inside one piece of clothing from that collection, and that golden ticket got shipped to Tiffani. So I'm going to let her tell you the story of how she discovered the golden ticket because she didn't even know the promotion was happening. So tell us what happened.
I actually saw that you guys were doing a new You Don't Know My Story shirt.
Yep.
And everything. And I was like, oh, well, I really want that shirt. I have to have it.
You had to have it.
Like, okay, I know that I'm not getting my paycheck yet, but I'm so doing this. So I was like, okay, well, you guys usually do free shipping if you order a couple things. So
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it anyway. So I went ahead and I did it. And I was like, okay. So I waited for it. And, of course, my husband was like, you did what? And I was like,
Another package from Beautiful Disaster showed up, and Tiffani was in trouble again.
Yes, I was. And I opened it, and this golden ticket fell out. And I was like, what is this?
Right.
What is this? And it'd been a while since I'd been on anything because I work graveyards. And my son was like, well, what is that? And I'm going, I don't know. And I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there reading it, and it says, well, you won this. And I'm like, oh, it's probably, there's a couple people. And he's like, well, it says you got to read this. So I get on, and I'm looking at it, and it says one. It says just one.
Just golden
one
ticket.
person. And I'm going, oh. Okay, so that's when I emailed you,
Yep.
and you were super excited,
Yep.
and I'm like, I was floored.
Yes.
I was like, one person.
Yes.
What are the odds? Because I'm one of the biggest fans. I'm
Right.
always ordering, and I'm
Yep.
always getting in trouble for. He's like, when am I going to get a handsome devil? When am I going to get this? When am I going to get? I don't
honey,
know.
it's not always about you.
Yeah, I want my stuff.
Oh, well, we love that. I love the fact that you were totally taken by surprise.
I was.
And that you had
Absolutely
no
shocked.
idea that there was only one golden ticket and you won it. She won an all-expense-paid trip to come here to Beautiful Disaster headquarters, and we're super excited to have you. There's a little backstory. So Tiffani has been in the Beautiful Disaster tribe for a couple of years now, right?
Yes.
A couple years. Yeah. She has shared her story with us previously on the Beautiful Disaster blog, and we're so excited to have her here so that she can tell her story live in our studio so that we can distribute her story in a much bigger and more powerful way so that it will help other women in the tribe. Absolutely. So let's start with your story. So take us back to the beginning. Growing up, I know it was rough.
So rough.
Start where you want to start.
Well, as early as I can remember, starting at 5. My mom had 6 of us, but my mom gave up my older brother.
So her firstborn.
She
gave up for adoption.
She gave up for adoption, and then there was me, and then she had a few more people. I mean, there's 5 of us kids, and we all started with D's, just obsessed with D's. But at the age of 3, she divorced my father because my father is a raging alcoholic. They had issues with drinking, so it was just one of those things. And so, unfortunately, we ended up moving into this trailer.
Okay.
And she got together with this horrible army guy. He military, ex-military. He's always in the Brinks. He's just abusive.
And physically, emotionally, mentally, all of it.
Just horrible to us kids, to my mother. And he put on a really good persona. Really did. Everyone thought he was amazing. Sure. But behind closed doors.
Right.
I mean, you never know what's going on with people. You don't.
You really don't.
You don't.
No.
So that's why I always say, be nice to people because, you just don't know.
You don't know their story.
Exactly. You don't. You don't know. I mean, someone could be diagnosed with cancer. Someone could, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So he was always good at putting on that great smile,
mask.
that mask,
Yeah.
and we always had to pretend to.
Right.
So at the age of 5, I ended up having to figure out what it was like to have sex for the first time.
Jesus Christ. I have a 5-year-old daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's little.
My uncle he was babysitting us so that my mom and him could go out, and I don't know what they did, but not only was I forced to have sex with my uncle, but my brothers were watching the whole time. They were laughing. They didn't know what was going on. It's not their fault.
Right.
But it was like a game.
Oh, God.
And so I just remember laying there, and it was just horrible. I was like, why?
Yeah, right.
Why?
Right.
And I remember my brothers laughing, and they, like I said, they thought it was a game.
Right. They couldn't comprehend
No.
the level of trauma that was going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, eventually, I got over it. I forgot.
Did you tell anyone?
I tried to tell my mom.
Yeah.
And they brushed it under the carpet. That's how it went in my family.
Yeah.
Brush it under the rug.
Right.
It was just,
Right.
my grandma hates me to this day because later on he ended up in prison for raping an old lady.
Oh, geez.
In Weiser, Idaho. And he's still sitting in prison for it.
Wow.
He's got life because he's raped so many people. Turned into a rapist.
Right.
And
he didn't turn into a rapist. He was already a rapist.
He was already a rapist.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they brought up my situation from when I was a kid.
Right.
My grandma was so pissed off about the whole situation that they brought up my situation. And she was like, they shouldn't be bringing up that stuff. It's family. And I was like, it happened.
Yeah.
Why do you expect me to shut my mouth? Why?
Right.
And that's what I think that people need to understand is that you don't have to shut up.
No.
You need to speak out.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah.
Shut up.
As hard as it can be. And
Exactly.
I can imagine that being as young as you were and it being swept under the carpet, that could almost teach you to keep your mouth shut.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
For the longest time.
For the longest time. Because after you tell somebody so many times and nothing happens, it's like, why tell?
Yeah, it seemed pointless because people just shut me down so many times.
Well, thank God you didn't stop telling.
Oh, yeah. And I've always wanted to be able to just, I just kept telling people. I even called health and welfare on my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's terrible. I know it's terrible, but
it's
at
not
the same time,
terrible to call health and welfare.
It was to my mother. My mom was like, "How dare you?"
Of course.
And I don't know.
Wow.
And
so that happens at 5 years old.
At 5 years old.
And did she stay with this man?
Well,
that was your uncle,
that was
but
my
did she
uncle.
stay with the military man?
She stayed with the military man up until I think I was about 13 or 14, but I left when I was 12. So
okay.
I ended up going back in when I was 21 because I got pregnant.
Okay, so you shared on your blog a story that I'll never forget about a cat.
Yep.
When did that happen? Was that military dude?
Yep.
So share that story because I just couldn't.
Yeah.
That's a story that I can't get over. A part of your story that is just so like.
Yeah.
Good God.
That will haunt me for probably the rest of my life. Yeah. It's a memory that just...
It haunts me.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
It's part of your story,
people.
Yeah.
So I was walking home with a friend of mine.
And how old were you at this time?
I think I was probably about 7 or 8 maybe.
Okay.
We were living in the trailer park off of Fairview. And I don't even know if it's there anymore. It's off of Maple Grove and Fairview or something like that. There was an old, what do they call those? Drive-in.
Oh, okay, drive-in theater.
Yeah, drive-in theater.
Okay.
Used to be a drive-in theater there. I remember wrecking my bike at one point in time there. Cracked my head open. I was walking home with a girlfriend of mine, and this cat was in a canal, and
Yeah.
I got it out of the canal. I was trying to save it. Thought to myself, well, if I blow dry it in time before he gets home, he won't do anything. He won't know. It'll be okay.
Right.
He came home in the middle of me doing this.
So you've saved this cat. It's soaking wet.
Yep.
You bring it home. You're blow drying it so that you can try to disguise it as like a regular cat.
Yeah, and just, take it back outside.
Take it back outside.
Let it go.
Right.
I don't even know why, because to this day I hate cats. And that's probably why.
Yeah.
Probably why.
Yeah, you might have a little trauma about
that
cats.
might be why I hate cats. I don't know, because I hate my sister's cats. And so...
So he comes home.
He comes home in the middle of it. And there's 2 doors in this trailer. One's in the back bathroom, and then there's one in the front. There's a sliding glass door. He throws this cat out of the door, and he tells me, go to your room.
Right.
And I know what that means. You have to wait for your punishment. That's always what it meant. So I'm waiting in my room, and of course he comes in, and I remember he climbs on top of me like a cat, and he just starts beating me. And it seemed like hours had gone by. I mean, and it just forever. And then he's just done. He gets off of me, and he tells me, you can go play now. You can go play now.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
Like you're just going to
Like,
dry
okay.
your tears.
Yeah. Wipe off the blood, because my face was bloody.
Yeah.
So I go clean myself up. I go over to my friend Robin's house, and I knock on the door, and her mother, her face. She opened the door, and she just let out this, like, her face was just like...
Right. Horrified.
Petrified.
Yeah.
She was just like, what the fudge?
Yeah.
And she called the cops.
Right.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
So all of us children were taken away from my mother for I don't know how long. But the kicker is he only had to take anger management for that.
Just some anger management classes. And that was it.
Management.
So when you got taken away from your mom, you and your siblings at that time, did you get returned to your mom?
Yep.
So after and he was still there?
No, he got taken out of the house.
Okay.
For the
so
2
he
weeks.
had to leave. Oh, for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Okay.
For 2 weeks. And then he got to come back because he apologized.
So now you're back in the home with your mom,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets to come back home.
Uh-huh.
It's just...
Yeah.
It's just shocking.
Yeah.
So that's 7, 8 years old, and it's only a few more years down the road, and you leave. Because you said you left around 12,
I left
13.
around 12.
Tell us about that time.
My real dad, I called my real dad. I finally got a hold of my real dad, and I told him, I said, I can't. I mean, I had tried to commit suicide. I was tired of being beat. At this point, I had my 2 front teeth damn near knocked out of my head.
Right.
Because I mouthed off to him finally.
Right.
Jumped on his back, and I don't know, he sent me into an asthma attack at one point.
Right.
Because he hit me so hard in the back that I was just like, I've had enough. And something snapped in me, and I did it in front of my mother. I jumped on his back, and I started hitting him.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, well, I'd hate to see you in a fight.
Right.
And I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm
Yeah.
so tired of this. So I slit my wrists, and that's part of the reason why I've got tattoos on my wrist, is to cover it up. Because how do you explain that to somebody?
Sure.
You know?
Well, you
I tried
were hurting.
I tried to kill myself because my dad wouldn't quit beating me.
Yeah.
And he's not even my real dad.
Yeah.
And my mom allowed it. And my mom, still to this day, she says she's sorry, but it's like, how does a mom allow that for 13 years?
I don't know. I don't know how. I don't either. And I don't know your mom, and I don't know your mom's story.
She's
But
she's scared of being alone.
Well,
I get it. And back then,
yeah.
it was more acceptable. It really was.
Yeah, I mean,
men were allowed to do that. Nowadays, people, they do frown upon it.
right.
It happens a lot more than people think, though.
Oh, for sure. It absolutely still happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you call your biological father.
I
So you
went
can't
and
take
lived
it
with him
anymore.
for a little bit. He has another daughter who looks a lot like me. Her name is Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at 16 going back over there at one point in time, asking for his help, and he wanted me to leave. And she was, I think, 4 years old,
Oh, wow.
standing at his leg, holding onto his leg while
Yeah.
he told me to leave. But that was her everything,
Right.
and I had to leave.
Right.
And now he tries to get a hold of me and everything, and he's
Right.
like, I need you, I want you in my life. And I'm like, no, I wasn't good enough for you when I was little.
Yeah.
Go away.
So that brings you up to that like 12, 13-year-old mark.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to when you met who you thought was your Prince Charming, who turned out to be your worst nightmare.
He was a drug dealer.
Mm.
He was on methamphetamines.
Were you using drugs at that time?
No.
No.
I've
Did you
never
know he
used
was a
meth.
drug dealer?
No.
Wow.
You would think that I would know.
Right.
But that's how naive I was.
Right.
It's just so stupid.
Right.
I just
Well, you've
felt
had this
stupid.
programming
Yeah.
for the first. How old were you when you met him?
I was 24.
So for 24 years, you've had this programming of don't ask, don't tell,
Mm-hmm.
don't say a word,
Mm-hmm.
don't fight
Yeah.
back, take the abuse.
Yep.
If you tell anybody, you're not believed anyway.
Yeah.
So for 24 years, you've had all this programming. So when you say you would think I would know,
Yeah.
I don't think you would know. So keep going.
Well, the sad part is, I met him downtown
Mm-hmm.
at Cowboy Corner,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where we used to party.
All right.
And I was warned about him.
Ah,
I really was.
you didn't heed the warning.
No. I was told he had a past,
Okay.
and he was on probation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told he was found, and my mother's new husband, he was semi-decent.
Right.
He says he's got a record over a mile long.
Mm.
Wake up, Tiff.
Right.
I went over to his work one night, and he was doing the whole kind of
Jaw jack.
working on
Right.
on his car, and I was like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
And he goes, don't get mad at me. And I was like, okay. And he goes, well, I use. I was like, you use what?
Right.
And I wasn't in the medical field yet. Like, I did some cares for somebody, but I hadn't been a CNA yet.
Right.
And I just looked at him and I go, what do you mean?
Right.
He's like, well, I'm on meth. And I go, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's just a little bit to keep me awake. I have to be able to work. And he's like doing this number.
Right.
And I'm going,
Right. Tweaking out.
I'm like, oh my God, how could I be so naive?
Right.
Well, and then I found out I was pregnant.
Ugh. So if you would have even had this like little
Glimmer.
of hope of like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Boom, that happens.
Yeah. Well, and then I told him I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't go over so well.
Yeah.
So, luckily, my son was with my mom.
It's okay.
Sometimes this just
It's
hurts.
okay. It's okay. It's okay.
He took my keys to my car and disabled my car. And he locked me in a room for 3 days. Took my cell phone, and I couldn't come out. I didn't get food or water. And I was a good girl, and he told me that he wanted me to have an abortion. He didn't want her. And I wouldn't agree. And he said I had to, or else. And so I agreed so I could come out.
Yeah.
He didn't want her. Not a lot of people know this, but I went through with the abortion. I just tell people that she was alive and that she was 6 months because I didn't want people to know that I had had an abortion.
Right.
Because
that
was
wasn't
murder.
Yeah, that wasn't the version.
I didn't want people to know that I took part of killing my daughter.
Mm.
And I blame myself for that because I couldn't get out. He wouldn't let me go.
Right.
He just wouldn't let me go. And he took me down to the clinic. He got the money from his mom. His mother paid for it.
Right.
And his mother knew what she was paying for.
Right.
Because she didn't want it either.
Right.
And so I was 4 months along already. And they still did it. So they put those leaves up inside of you, and you've got to go home, and you've got to give it time. So I had to lay there in bed knowing what was going on for over an hour, and then I had to go back. And that was the most excruciating pain that I think I've ever been through.
Yeah.
And he didn't care. And I was screaming while they did this, and they told me I had to shut up.
Wow.
And when we went to the abortion clinic, there were people out there protesting out of everything, right?
Of course, yes.
Only in Idaho. And
No, it happens everywhere. It happens
like,
everywhere.
Really? I was like, you're going to make me do this? You're going to make me do this? I says, I don't want to be with you anymore. I've got to go. I've got to go.
Yes.
I named her and everything. Her name was supposed to be Elena. So on my chest, I do have her name.
Yes.
But I do tell people that she was alive. She was alive to me.
Obviously, we just spent time talking about what was the worst part of your life. I want to now put focus on your healing, your recovery, and what has turned into the best part of your life. So let's talk about how you got yourself up from that horrible place and became a CNA. And I find it interesting because a lot of the women in our tribe that have been through these horrific traumas are in healthcare and are caregivers.
Yeah.
And it's
easy to take care of other people, but you always forget to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Always.
So what are you going to do different now?
I'm just going to have to, you got to surround yourself with positive people.
You really have to find your tribe.
Yes.
You really do. And
positive people.
Yes. The Beautiful Disaster Tribe is incredible. There's women that are, miles ahead of you in healing. And then there's women that are miles behind you in healing. And the tribe that we have cultivated through Beautiful Disaster is incredible. If there was anything that you could say to somebody that's going through something like what you've been through, what would you say to them?
Get yourself a plan.
Beautiful Disaster is so much more than a clothing company, and we're just so honored to have women like you in our tribe, and I want to sincerely honor your story. Thank you for sharing it with us and with the tribe.
Thank you.
And it was no accident that you got that golden ticket and that you're able to be here.
God brought it to me. I'm telling you, I truly believe that.
To everybody out there, we know that you have a story, and we know that sometimes you can't share it, or you haven't found the voice to be able to share it yet. And we hope that through listening to the other stories of the members in the Beautiful Disaster Tribe, that you can take whatever it is that you need from that story, and it can help to change your story. So thank you to everybody so much for listening and watching, and thank you so much, Tiffani, for being here and being so open and sharing your story with us. Join our private Facebook group, and you'll find a lot of support and resources in there as well. So thank you to everybody for listening and watching, and we will catch you on the next episode of Perfectly Imperfect with Beautiful Disaster. Bye. Thank you, guys.